for the last 62 years. One, that in terms of building this country on strong foundations in regard to governance, that we are still a work in progress. So in determining whatever we determine, we need to ask ourselves, how can we build a country whose foundation is rooted in strong institutions? For those who believe in building strong institutions to be the basis on which a country will survive long term and build and become strong, we would like to urge you to ensure that the status quo remains. Why so? Because right now, the environment in which we are operating is quite testing. Parties themselves, the ruling party, the opposition parties, also works in progress. There are many challenges we still meet. And therefore, we would like to argue that much as there might be issues that arise within parties, that we should not try to fix short-term problems without putting into consideration the long-term consequences of some of those actions that could be taken. When you look at strong nations in this world, whether they are democracies, whether they are authoritarian regimes, at the end of it all, you find that they are rooted on strong institutions. Strong institutions is what makes strong states, strong countries. We need to keep focused on that and not divert from that. Two, parties in the opposition, when parties are in the opposition, it is a testing ground to enable parties to build their capabilities in preparation to take over governance when they get into power. Even in situations where they might falter, you don't try to solve a short-term problem by creating a larger problem. We have had experiences, some of us. At some point, we operated in what used to be the largest opposition party. So we talk from experience. We had two experiences where, at one point, we had an internal election for a leader of opposition. At another point, the party designated. From our own experience, it is very dangerous for you to interfere in the internal processes of any opposition party that is in position to take over the LOP position. In whatever you do, you need to avoid a situation where you create two power centers. It's an organizational principle. You let a party in opposition, the one which appoints or chooses the leader of opposition, to be able to determine whom they appoint by whatever method to be the leader of opposition. Why so? Because if you elect a leader of opposition without the main party that has that leader of opposition in place, you can easily create two power centers. And that's a recipe for disaster for that party. In that regard, what would you be doing? You just simply be weakening a party. We are here not because of the current short-term situation that there is. We are trying to look at things long-term. Because today, NRM is in power, tomorrow it could be in opposition. The parties which are in opposition, one of them could be in government. So there can easily be a temptation for people to try to create solutions because of the current challenges they may be facing. Some in the opposition, some in the ruling party. But the dynamics of today are not necessarily the dynamics of 2026, 2031, and thereafter. And in that regard, I'd also like to refer to what the Deputy Chair, that there were series of risks within NUP, that therefore this bill could seek to fix that situation. If there are any internal challenges within NUP or any other opposition party, it should be left that party to be able to resolve those internal contradictions. Right now, if a party in opposition, whichever it would be, if you appoint a leader of opposition from outside their control, you have created a second power center. From our own experience, we've never had that kind of situation. But we applied skills and maintained cohesion of the party until we were able to make the necessary changes. So when you have got an opposition party, and all of us who are in the opposition parties need to know that whatever you are doing within the party is being observed by the rest of the country. The opposition party, when you are in the opposition, is a testing ground. One hopes that we reach a point when there will be maturity in this country for people to ask themselves, can we trust a party with power? If it's a party which is within power and is not able to manage itself or manage power itself, that's the position that hopefully would lead the population to decide that this party should be moved out of power. And for those contesting for power, the population will be able to make its own decisions based on how the parties themselves manage themselves, outside Parliament as well as within Parliament. We therefore would like to really ask you, the members of this committee, consistent with our team leader, what she has already asked you to do in the conclusive remarks, that this bill should not be passed. It's a recipe for disaster for the politics of this country. We are grappling with so many challenges. The environment is not conducive for party building already. Don't add other complex situations within what is already a difficult situation. Don't create two power centers. For those of you who might be coming from NRM, you may do something now because you have got the numbers. But tomorrow, you may actually find yourselves in the opposition. That always happens. And some of these tools can easily be used if there is anybody in power who has got a tendency to manipulate, whether now or in the future, to completely manipulate and control the parties in the opposition. Be very careful. As I conclude, as Alliance for National Transformation, whatever we do, we look at things long term. 1, 2, we believe that at the end of the day, the stability of this country, the steady progress of this country can only happen when there are strong institutions. Whatever we do ask you, make judgments, make decisions, and whatever actions you take in support of the building of institutions, strengthening the parties. The parties are the vehicles of governance. As long as you operate within the current constitution, you are not going to run this country outside the parties. Strengthen political organizations. Even in situations where there are strong leaders, yes, there are times when there are strong leaders. Strong leaders need to operate within strong institutions. Unless we have given up. If we have given up on the issues of building institutions, then you can't do anything. It doesn't matter. But know that there will be consequences to that. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to appear before this committee.
Thank you so much. That we put in place the right people using the right procedure, even if a vote was not cast. On suspecting the whole committee, I think I have qualified that, Sir Chairman, and this is not to disrespect you, sir, this would look like a matter of life and death, the way it is being handled. That if this bill is not passed, the roof will collapse on this country. And I don't think that is true. And I want to answer this together with the concern about whether Lumu actually came to us. We are the consumers of this law. We are the players. We're in the theater of politics. We are the biggest stakeholders. It's not somebody we know who is directly affected by this. And so we've got to have a say. And this is why we think you must listen to us. The Honorable Lumu attempted to come to us after he drafted his bill. And he ostensibly to seek information from us. And we said no, at the conception of this bill, we should have been part of this. We should have been part of the conversation. It never happened. And so the FDC felt like Lumu wanted to use us, and yet, there are clever people in the FDC who knew they would come here to the committee and present their views. It wasn't our duty to help Lumu, Honorable Lumu, to write his bill up. It wasn't. We were not about to be part or conscripted into doing this dirty work by a honorable member of parliament who is serving selfish interests. I think this should not be there. The creation of the position of leader of opposition is contained in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And any resources that go to that office should not be seen as a favor. Nobody should use carrot and stick against the holder of that position. What precisely this bill now wants to introduce to our democracy. That you speak nicely with the power that be, and then okay, you can have the trips, you can have the money to spend, your fuel card is guaranteed, you can get employment for your relatives in the house, in the parliamentary commission. Everything is being dangled there.
Clarification, parliamentary commission, what?
No, I said, yeah, I think you need to be awake, Honorable Member of Parliament, as you speak. This position is not a favor. It's a creature of the Constitution. And nobody should indulge in arm twisting the holder of that position. It is an office, it's an institution that was given birth by the Constitution, the amended Constitution that we amended in 2005. So how I wish that this independence is maintained, and the Honorable Duke brings a very, very important point, that this office should not be under the direction of any office in Parliament. Warid talked about the pillars within this Parliament, and he articulated very well. So what we are crying for is the independence of this office. That the person holding the position should not be looking over his or her shoulder.
Correct.
To see who is coming after him.
The question is, wouldn't it even be